Thank you all for coming this early on a Sunday morning to this last of a series of 4 events that have been jointly organized by the Institute for Israel and Jewish Studies at Columbia University, Fordham University, and the YIVO Institute for Jewish Research. I'm Jonathan Brent, Executive Director of YIVO. These events have explored the complex and often misunderstood past of Poland's Christian majority and its Jewish minority. The series has aimed to provide the conceptual tools to foster better understanding of Poland's history, Polish-Jewish relations, and the tensions between history and memory, exclusion, belonging, national ideologies, identities, and anti-Semitism. This series is a beginning. It is not an end. The series is intended to open dialogue, as the name of the series indicates. It is not intended to provide an end to the discussion with conclusions. Since its founding in Vilna, Poland in 1925, Jewish life in Poland has been one of YIVO's core interests, and YIVO has been a space where such critical discussion and dialogue can occur. YIVO's archive contains some 23 million documents, political materials of all sorts, from Zionism to the Bund, communal records, diaries, letters, literary manuscripts, plays, poetry, memoirs, educational materials, treatises on cosmology, law, political and theatrical posters, buttons, bankas, jokes, pornography, medicine, the unique collection of Yiddish pornography, by the way, and 7 million documents pertaining to the Holocaust. YIVO's library has some 400,000 volumes, including many rare and unique materials in Yiddish, Polish, Russian, German, and numerous other languages. In 2013, YIVO created a website devoted to Jews and Polish culture, which is called the YIVO Digital Archive on Jewish Life in Poland. It provides access to over 50 archival collections with Polish materials, including finding aids, digital images, sound recordings, and rare films of Jewish life in pre-World War II Poland. I should also mention in this regard YIVO's annual study trips to Lithuania, Poland, and Ukraine that are led by the historian Professor Samuel Kassow. And there is information about going on these tours if any of you is interested outside. The life of Jews in Poland for nearly 1,000 years and the civilization they built during that time was destroyed in the Holocaust and its Soviet aftermath. The resonance of that destruction has not been dispelled by time. It remains at the core of what Szymon Dubnow called Jewish historical consciousness, by which we understand ourselves as a people. The memory and image of that destruction has often preempted understanding of the life that preceded it, a life that was dynamic, creative, multifarious, which engaged all strata of society and left lasting marks not just on Jewish culture worldwide, but on Polish, European, and American culture generally. And unfortunately, the discussion of this life, this complex, variegated life, is all too often excluded from public discussion because of the horror of World War II and the Holocaust. We hope that this series, culminating in today's symposium, will help restore a sense of the completeness or wholeness of that once great civilization of Jews in Poland, the factors, both internal and external, that shaped it, and the men and women who were part of it, from whom many in this room today are descended, as are indeed the majority of Ashkenazi Jews alive today around the world. It is important to recall at the outset of today's discussions the terrible events that have recently taken place in Pittsburgh and Poway, California, to note that anti-Jewish incidents and violence has risen dramatically in the United States and around the world over recent years, and that this phenomenon in the United States is connected to the rise of white ethno-nationalism around the world. An important element embedded in this nationalism is the myth of Jude Communa, which will be discussed later today, Judeo-communism, that was popularized by the Nazis and was almost immediately imported into the United States by Henry Ford in 1920 through his newspaper, the Dearborn Independent. It became the rallying cry of 20,000 American Nazis who gathered in Madison Square Garden on February 20th, 1939. Fragments of which gathering have recently been made available in the documentary film, A Night in the Garden, which is available on the internet if you care to look at it. It's one of the most horrifying 5 minutes I think you will see. It informed the hate slogans of the recent march of white nationalists in Charlottesville and was heard shouted by Polish demonstrators outside the federal building here in New York City 6 weeks ago. The myth that all Jews are communists and are therefore disloyal and subversive is as dangerous a slander as the blood libel. It is a warrant for genocide and must be exposed and opposed. It is a danger not only to Jews, but to all liberal democratic society. How and why is this still alive in Poland, in the United States, in Europe, in Russia, and elsewhere? This February, the February 2019 Holocaust Conference in Paris that was disrupted by Polish protesters provides yet another example of the vehemence this nationalist ideology can take and why open critical discussion of the subject of Jewish-Polish relations is so difficult and so necessary today. Ideas have consequences. False ideas, such as Holocaust denial, or that Jews themselves were responsible for the Holocaust, have very destructive consequences unless opposed and challenged. That's what this symposium and this whole series intends to do. I wish to thank the Center for Jewish History, YIVO's partners at the center, the American Jewish Historical Society, the Leo Baeck Institute, the American Sephardi Federation, and our other institutional partners, Fordham University and Columbia University, for participating in and supporting this conference. In particular, I wish to thank Magda Tetter, head of Jewish Studies at Fordham University, Agnieszka Legutko, lecturer in Yiddish at Columbia, and Małgorzata Mazurek, associate professor of Polish Studies at Columbia University. Alex Weiser, director of programs at YIVO, has worked tirelessly on this program as he does on all of our programs. Thank you. Thank you all. I wish also to thank Anji Royek for his support and the members of the YIVO board who are present today. And if they are not here in the hall now, I expect them to come in later. Ruth Levine, who is chairman of our board, and Irene Pletka, vice chairman of our board. We are especially honored to have with us today Miron Blumenthal and his family. Miron is the son of Nachman Blumenthal, a founder of the Jewish Historical Institute in Warsaw and director of JICH in Warsaw. Miron has generously donated his father's great and extensive archive to the YIVO Institute, possibly the last great Holocaust collection still to be archived and studied. Nachman, would you stand, please, with your family? Myron. Very sorry. A small exhibit of these materials can be found in the Great Hall outside this auditorium. I invite you all to have a look at it. I also invite you all to have a look at the YIVO exhibit on immigration that is just down the hall in the Constantiner Gallery called When the Doors Slammed Shut. It's an extraordinary collection of cartoons from the Yiddish press in the 1920s about American immigration practices. Today's events are live streamed and will be available as a video recording on YIVO's YouTube channel and will be posted on our website. Please close your cell phones now. It is now my great pleasure to welcome Magda Tetter to the podium.